I started 15 years ago collecting data on the Austrian population of the European roller. Now I'm working for the Nature Conservation Office of the federal state Styria, and not Syria, that's very important. My colleague is Carina Nebel, and she's working for the Museum of Natural History in Vienna, and she made the genetic part of our presentation. Okay. Okay. This one? Yeah. So, in the middle of the last century, the roller was a well-known and widespread bird in the southern and eastern parts of Austria, and since that time it suffered a dramatic decline, bringing the population at the brink to extinction. The main part of this decrease accelerated in the mid-70s to intensification of agriculture, and since that time, since let's say the 90s of the last century, we had a small stable population at low level, but we had one incident, let's say 10 years ago. It was a time of adverse weather, and in this time we lost one generation, so almost the offspring of 1 year, and since that time, the population is fluctuating at really low level. So as you can see it here on the graph, we only have between 2 and 5 breeding bears. So what about the threats we have in Austria? So our data showed that we have medium threats like roadkills. Maybe, to be honest, maybe they are even high. It's a quite important mortality factor for fledged birds. As you can see here on the graph, more than 60% of kills happened because of road traffic. So we lost within 10 years 10 adult birds, and that's quite a lot, quite a big amount for such a small population. Still, urban development still goes on. We have problems with the disappearing of non-productive pieces of land like tracks, ditches, and so on. High problems, high threats we have because of the loss of grassland, not in the core area of the population area, but outside the core area. We have still a loss of habitats, heterogeneity, because of land consolidation, not the official way of land consolidation, but the unofficial, because farmers are changing their fields to each other, and that's the reason why the field size is increasing. And due of that, or as a consequence of that, we have still a decreasing food availability. And what we found out during our investigations during the last years, that we have, it seems so that we have an additional critical main threat, and this is the reduced genetic variability. Okay, long-term threat without solution yet. This is land consolidation and the disappearing of non-productive pieces of land. Then threats that started fairly recently, as I mentioned before, the low proportion of breeders because of, the reduced genetic variability is a consequence of the low proportion of breeders. Self-threats, or in other words, threats that got better during the last years. We have no problem with competing species for nest sites. We have no problem with the loss of solitary trees and hedges. The proportion of grassland is still stable, and we have improved land management. So changes in regarding the policies and legislation relevant to the management of the species. So there were no changes. The role is well protected by legislation of the federal Styria. 100% of the breeding pairs are breeding within the Natura 2000 site, which was designated, I think, in the year 2000. You can see it here. It's close to the border to Slovenia. So what's the main goal regarding the roller population? Our goal is to achieve a minimal viable population in the border area together with the colleagues in Slovenia. It's quite an ambitious goal. Recent conservation activities in Austria, we try to use tools of habitat conservation, restoration and management. We have a conservation association called LIFE, who tries to lease land for management, and we have the tool of contractual nature conservation targeting roller. We have for that we have 3 different possibilities. One is a national program. This national program conservates, let's say, around 100 hectares. Then we have 2 other tools, and in total 500 hectares are managed by our management activities, and 150 hectares are within the area which is occupied by rulers. So conservation activities, we started with the installation of nest boxes 15 years ago. In the meantime, all birds, or let's say since 2010, all birds were breeding only in nest boxes. We are using nest cameras now for to see what's going on. And we started the protection of nest boxes against predation by putting metal plates on the front sides and the top of the nest boxes, and that worked really, really well. So we had no cases of predation during the last 5 years. Another conservation activity was supplementary feeding. The trigger for developing such supplemental feeders was the happening in the year 2009. We had this case of adverse weather, and now we try to feed them during this time of bad weather, with bad weather conditions, and it works quite well. Okay, monitoring methods in Austria. We started a ringing scheme in 2003, and we were ringing all chicks every year. First years we didn't get it all, but now, let's say in the last 10 years, it wasn't a problem. So by the time the whole population is wearing rings, and since the year 2011, we couldn't observe any unringed birds, and that's a quite good advantage for us to make some research. Yeah. As a consequence of ringing, we have really good data on the age distribution of the population. As you can see here, just a few results. We have no exchange with other populations. 1 to 3 year old birds represent the majority of adults, so two-thirds of the population. 3 to 6 year old birds represents the highest proportion of breeders, and 1 year old birds have significantly lower return rates than 2 year old birds. Here you can see the return rates. 1 year old birds return with a probability of 28%, and when they are older, they will come back with a probability of 76%. Our calculation shows that Okay, I have to go on. Big problem is it seems that below a specific number of adults, there are additional factors which act on the proportion of breeders and non-breeders, and we weren't sure about that. Maybe an unequal sex ratio is the reason for that. Okay, that's your turn.
Yeah, thank you very much. So as Michi already said, we have quite a few problems in Austria. One of them is the degrees. We have no exchange with other populations. On the contrary, we have even observed inbreeding. And that led us to the assumption maybe inbreeding depression might be the reason the population in Austria is not recovering, although we are doing so much to protect the bird. And what is inbreeding depression? It means all of our breeding individuals are so heavily inbred that it influences their fertility, so they're reproducing as well. So what can you do if you have an inbred population? You initiate a genetic rescue program. That means you relocate individuals from neighboring populations, other populations, and these fresh genes, they increase genetic variability and counteract this inbreeding depression. So we initiated at the Natural History Museum in Vienna, in cooperation with the Uni Graz, a genetic research program. Our research questions were, what is the present genetic diversity in Austria? Can we, by including material from museum specimens, has genetic diversity changed in Austria? Then we include individuals from the neighboring populations. We need that for a genetic rescue. Which one is the most closely related population that could act as a potential donor? And the fourth question is not directly related to our genetic rescue, but we were also interested in the overall structure, genetic structure of the European roller across its large distribution range. So sadly, time is very, very limited, so I can only give you one of our results. And that is a very dramatic decline of genetic diversity. You can see here in the historic sample that we have high genetic diversity, and it decreases from 2005 and 2007. And today, or as of 2014, the population is monomorphic, meaning we have only one genetic variant in Austria left. Yeah, very disturbing results. I'd really like to thank our colleague from Hungary. Her name is Orsi. Thank you very much for your European roller samples. And,
okay, now I have to go on. There are only 2 slides left. Okay, goals and actions from the last ISAP that are now considered completely in Austria. We've developed a national species action plan. We have the protection of priority areas because they were designated as Natura 2000 sites. We have site management plans. We have monitor schemes, like I mentioned before. All the time we were trying to fill the knowledge gaps. Yeah, best practice agri-environment measures, and we try to raise the awareness of value in the public. Okay, objectives that should be incorporated in the new ISAP. So, due to our informations, I think it would be important for all these relict populations to incorporate the genetic part. So to incorporate the genetic aspects in case of isolated and relict populations, and to develop adequate actions for that. Okay, that's it. Thank you.